Hey everybody, welcome back to the next part in my dialing in series, and this is a really exciting one because, as you probably all know now, software version or firmware version 2.9 has been released for our Line 6 Helix and our HX Stomp and whatnot, and I wanted to get this video out right away and show you how I dialed in a sound for one of the most anticipated, or I feel it is anyways, judging by people's comments, amp models that is new to the 2.9 update, and that is the Revv Gen Purple, which is the purple channel of the Revv Generator 120 amp, I believe is what it is. I was blown away as soon as I tried this amp model. The folks at Line 6 have done such an amazing job of modeling this, and I think this is going to quickly become a favorite amp model of many folks. Let's go over to HX Edit and take a look and see what we have here. So as we see here, there we go, Helix FIRMWARE 2.9 updated, right? So we have the Revv Gen Purple. So I started with my basic preset or template that I usually use. And you'll see some of the new look to this. We have compress limit buttons, right? Instead, that looks a little different than the previous. But the settings are all the same. Peak reduction of 5.5, gain of 5, nothing new there. On the EQ, I didn't really do anything other than use the low cut and high cut. And a little reminder, a lot of folks will say to me, why don't you just use the low and high cut block? Well, this is part of a template, and I like to have that EQ there just in that mastering section of what I do, that if I do want to use it, it's there. And it's really not weighing heavily on the DSP for my purposes here, so it really doesn't matter, right? So low cut of 100 hertz and a high cut of 12 kilohertz. Reverb, this one was fun. I went with something different here. I should actually turn the trails on that, as I should on the day that they are on. Okay. This is a plate reverb with a decay of 5.1, pre-delay of 15 milliseconds, a low cut of 90 hertz, high cut of 4.6 kilohertz, and a mix of 30%. I just did something a little different with it. I want to try the plate, and it's really nice. It's not a reverb I use a lot, but I should, because it's a great sounding reverb, and it helped. I really like the way what it did with this preset. I have the delay, which we can turn on or off, which is my typical kind of settings, right, on the transistor tape. Set at a quarter note, tap tempo of the song I was using it on, which, as I mentioned, in this case was Round and Round by Rat. Feedback at 22%, wow and flutter at 2.1, scale at 100%. Keeping it very monoized, really. It's not too much going on because the spread is only at 2.3, so pretty mono compatible, as I talked about in a recent video. Mix at 26%, and headroom at 0, trails on. Standard low and high shelf EQ, minus 2 dB to all the frequencies below 650 hertz, plus 2 dB to all the frequencies above 2 kilohertz. And that's my standard settings for my template, which I find just kind of make everything sound kind of nice. It's kind of cool at those settings. So what I did up with the amp, though, is I chose to go with just an amp block, and I changed out the cab that comes up with it. I'm a real fan of the 412 Greenback 25, and I like the way it pairs with this. So I went with 2 of them in this one, something I haven't done a lot of recently, but I thought it kind of cool here. I went with one with a 121 ribbon mic, okay, at a distance of 1 inch, everything else, low cuts, high cuts, early reflections off. And then I went with another one with a 57 dynamic 1-inch back. So very typical kind of miking style. You know, 121 ribbon, SM57. And then I believe I blended those perfectly evenly. It just worked really nice. Now, your mileage may vary with that. If we want to go to all of just the ribbon mic, we would simply roll it over all the way to A100 or all of SM57 B100. So we've got a lot of tonal possibilities there as well, and we'll explore that in a second. What about the settings on the amp? Well, here they are. I had the drive set at 5.9, the bass at 5.1, mid at 5.5, treble at 6.2, presence at 6.1, channel volume at 8.5, master at 5, resonance at 3, aggression at 1, and all the deeper functions, sag throughout to bias X, are all set at 5. Okay, so let's do this. Let's turn the compressor off. Let's turn the reverb off, the delay off, and the shelf EQs off, and let's just listen to what these settings sound like. I'm playing my Yamaha Pacifica 611, and let's hear what this sounds like just as it's called up with the 2 cabs I put on it. Here it sounds like this. All right, so let's bring in the compressor and the low and high cuts that I put in there. Very subtle difference there, not gonna be a huge thing. Let's listen to the plate reverb I put on. Very nice stuff. I was really liking that reverb. Let's go listen to what these typical settings on the low and high shelf I use are. I find they just add a nice polish to almost any amp you put it on. It takes a little bit of the muddiness and controls the low end just slightly, and it boosts up some of the upper mids and highs just to let it cut through more in a mix. And I find it almost works on every amp model, and just, you know, it's kind of like a betterizer model with those settings, but it's subtle. So here it is without. Here it is with. Again, without. Here it's a little muddy in the low mids, a little full in the bottom that might get in the way of a bass guitar in the mix, and there's a little bit of sparkle missing. Which, before we compared it to that, sounded okay, but then once we hear it in comparison, it's like, oh wow, the new one is so much better. So listen again. Now listen. Now let's go put our delay in. Very subtle. And that's the tone. I was really enjoying this. Man, I just play this all day. Very nice. I like the dual cab thing on it. It sounded good. Now, that's one thing I wanted to do. Let's just listen to what it sounds like with just the ribbon mic being used. Very dark, which is what ribbon mics are. Let's go just a 57. Hear the thinness in the bottom end? So I find those two combine just perfectly together equally. All right, fun stuff, and I could just play with this all day. This is up on CustomTone, guys. Please go grab it, and look out on the Line 6 Marketplace soon. I'm going to have a Revv Ultimate preset up, kind of utilizing some of this type of stuff combined with some other fun things. So keep an eye out for that and a demo for that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like the video, share it if you don't mind. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the little bell notification so you get to see when I put new content up. As always, thank you guys for the support, and I really hope you enjoy this, and thanks for lending me your ear and giving me your time. I really appreciate the support, guys. I'll be back soon with some more content. Ciao for now.